Let's measure a gauge swatch. I've got a swatch I knitted, and I used a size 6 needle in this example. I have another video where I show you exactly how to identify what needle size you used when you made your gauge swatch, so I really recommend watching that video. But today I've blocked my swatch, and what I want to do now is measure my gauge. So I want to know how many stitches and how many rows my swatch represents. To do that, I'm going to need a ruler. Your ruler might look like this. Other gauge rulers might look different, but really all you need is a ruler. In my case, I also like to use a pencil, a mechanical pencil, or anything with a pointy edge, and that just helps me keep track of the stitches as I'm counting. The first thing we're going to do is lay the ruler on top of the swatch so that the 4 inches, what I'm going to do is measure the stitches within the 4-inch ruler marks. And I don't want to measure too close to the edge because I've got a garter stitch border, and that's true for either side. And I don't, if possible, I don't want to measure too close to the bottom or the top. So I want to try to find the center of the gauge swatch so that the measurement of stitches can be a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to position the first ruler mark at the beginning of a stitch. You can see here, I'm going to put it between, my stitches are the V's. Each V represents 1 stitch. And I want to make sure my ruler mark lines up with the beginning of that stitch, or the rightmost edge of that stitch, right here. And I'm going to place the ruler line along the bottom of 1 row. It makes it easier to measure that way, so that all of my V's are sitting on top of the ruler. It'll just make it a little bit easier to count. So now we're going to count from the first ruler mark to the 4-inch ruler mark, and we're going to count how many stitches are between there. In this case, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and it looks like almost a half. So 21 and a half. I'm just going to get a little piece of paper and write that down. And now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to measure rows. So I'm going to come into the middle, and my swatch just made it about 4 inches for the stockinette section. So we're going to bring I'm going to line it up with 1 row. I'm going to bring the bottom ruler, the first line, in line with the bottom of a stitch. So the bottom of my stitch, again, this V, each V is a stitch. I want to bring it in line with the bottom of a stitch. And then we're just going to count the stitches between the marks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, almost 30 over here. I'm going to call that 30. So in this case, I've got 21 and a half stitches and 30 rows per 4 inches. And that is how we measure gauge. a long time ago, I used to just kind of wing it. And sometimes things would work out and sometimes they wouldn't. But I find that taking the time to make a gauge swatch is really helpful.